I remember finishing 20th at the Ulster Grand Prix, and another half lap and I'd have been lapped. People was laughing at me, telling me to forget about it, that I was finished. Could I not content myself and give it up? It was painful to watch the greatest road racer of his era struggling to even stay on the same lap as the race leaders. Many knowledgeable Northern Irish spectators exchanged knowing looks. Others simply shook their heads as the once great Joey Dunlop went past them, desperately trying to avoid the humiliation of being lapped. Contrary to Joey's belief, however, few people were laughing. He was the most popular road racer there had ever been, and no one wanted to see him struggling and in pain, a shadow of his former self. The new road racing hotshots, Steve Hislop and Carl Fogarty, were miles ahead in the 1989 Ulster Grand Prix, and setting a pace so fast that Dunlop, even had he been fully fit, might have struggled to match. It seemed his time was over. Joey was 37 years old. He had been racing for 20 years and was already a veteran in what had always been a young man's sport. Hislop was 10 years his junior, and Fogarty was 13 years younger than him. He had already achieved more than most could even dream of, and had nothing left to prove. 5 consecutive TT Formula One world titles, 13 Isle of Man TT wins, 13 wins at the Northwest 200, and 13 wins at the Ulster Grand Prix at Dundrod. Yet now he was struggling to finish inside the top 20, at the circuit where he had long been considered the undisputed master. Perhaps it was time to call it quits and hang up the famous yellow helmet. Perhaps he should concentrate on running the pub he had bought as a post-retirement investment 5 years earlier. Perhaps, for such a superstitious rider, there were just too many 13s in the equation. It wasn't ability that was lacking. It was fitness. 5 months earlier, Joey had been racing in the Euro-Atlantic match races at Brands Hatch in the south of England, a somewhat farcical successor to the once prestigious transatlantic match races, which had pitted the UK and the USA's best riders against each other over a series of races around Easter weekend. The Euro-Atlantic instead featured a British team taking on a mismatched group of riders from various other countries. Few were known names, and the prestige of the original series had long since evaporated. Although he would later become known as a pure roads specialist, racing on closed public roads rather than much safer, purpose-built short circuits, Joey had also been a great short-circuit racer earlier in his career, which is why he was picked to be part of the British team. But this meeting at Brands Hatch would change all that. It would change many things. It would prove to be a watershed in the life of Joey Dunlop, and the man who was unwittingly involved in that watershed moment was Belgian rider Stefan Mertens. Mertens was an experienced rider, and a fast one too. He had been Belgian road racing champion before moving up to race in 250cc Grand Prix, and had finished 4th in the inaugural World Superbike Championship in 1988. He would finish second to Fred Merkel in the same series by year's end in 1989, and would eventually become a double world endurance champion. He was good. Of that there was no doubt. The crash happened on the 10th lap of the third match race, held on Good Friday, the 24th of March 1989, on the approach to Paddock Hill Bend, the fast and fearsome downhill right-hander after the start-finish straight. Mertens was having his first ride on his new Honda RC30 and was using the Good Friday race to get used to his bike before the first round of the World Superbike Championship at Donington Park on Easter Monday. "I started very carefully, just to learn the bike," Mertens said. "Joey and me were not very fast and were probably around 18th position. I was following Joey then, towards the end of the race. I decided to overtake him at the end of the start-finish straight before Paddock Hill Bend. He was on the right side of the track, and I went on the left side to overtake him. When I tried to enter Paddock Hill Bend, he was on my right, and then I don't know what went wrong, really. I couldn't make the turn because Joey was there, and he didn't enter the corner. So we went straight ahead and off the track towards the tyre wall. There wasn't enough runoff area before the tyre wall, so it was a pretty bad accident. We were probably doing around 160 kilometers per hour, 100 miles per hour, at the time of the crash, and we didn't really get a chance to brake.